Thursday, August 13th, main slate for MLB, FanDuel, and DraftKings. It's a middle of the day slate, mid-size slate. If you take a quick peek over at the DraftKings preview, starts at 3:05. Baltimore and the Phillies, Tampa, Boston, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Milwaukee, Chicago, and then the Padres and the Dodgers, which is not on the FanDuel main slate. So, a short midday, mid-size slate. And then, of course, we have a similar situation for NBA. So, if you're like me and you grind DFS every day and you usually don't get off to about 6 p.m., it's going to be somewhat of an early reprieve, although it will require getting ready a little bit sooner. But nonetheless, we are swinging at the pitches that are thrown to us. It's one of those rare small slate days in a 60-game season. So we're going to go ahead and chop it up game by game, break it down, hopefully come away with some good plays and picks. If you guys are new to the channel, what you see on the screen is rundfs.com. That's the place where we don't just play DFS, we run DFS. If you guys are looking to take your DFS game to the next level, I definitely encourage you to come join the community, the premium community that we have set up over at rundfs.com. It's a wonderful conglomerate of grinders at all different levels, bankroll sizes, and play styles. A lot of first or last tournament guys in there, a lot of strong game theorists, and a lot of single entry, mid stakes, high dollar type of guys. We've been seeing big time screenshots from NASCAR, from baseball, from basketball in the last couple of days, commas in the profit column, and a lot of straight up noobs. And it's fun. I love seeing people learn new sports through DFS and then succeeding through DFS. So the way that we nurture this community is through a couple ways. Mainly the rundfs.com VIP Discord, which right now there is a live sweat going on for the end of games. If you record, I say Discord, yeah. And throughout this Discord all day long, 24/7, text chat, all different channels, all different sports. And then we have pre-lock voice chats for all of the main sports. Before baseball, I'm in there with the all of the Vipers, talking the slate up, shooting a breeze, having some fun, and making some lineups. I also offer the spreadsheets through NBA, through NFL, but baseball, I believe, is my strongest spreadsheet. And I will also every day list my player pool, my tiered pitching, my favorite stacks and stuff like that. But aside from what I do, I still believe that this spreadsheet in and of itself, if you isolate it as just a product that you guys can use on your end, it's extremely strong. And I'll have a video on this channel kind of breaking it down, but just taking a quick peek, and I'll use it throughout the duration of this stream. It really breaks down splits from hitters and pitchers. We focus on the hitter versus handedness pitching splits at the top of this index portal. It's a rolling 2-year period. And then, because of the short season, I've decided to list the splits of each pitcher versus each sided handedness hitter for the last 3 seasons. So you guys can maybe project progression, appreciate progression, or just have a much more expedited way to research what pitcher is good, what pitcher is bad, versus what specific weakness. And we'll use that throughout the duration of this stream. So if you feel like that might be something that might help you out in your daily research for MLB DFS, you're more than welcome to add it to your repertoire. Like I said, index portal here, pitch report here. I'll show you a couple of examples of that. The hitter rating chart featuring my bomb detector. Great tool to project power hitting. Have the G rating here, bomb rating, and then the pitcher metric chart. These are the most common tabs that I use. So add that to your research repertoire. Get it underway. Let's get this slate breakdown underway, and let's start with game number 1, 4:05 p.m. Eastern. It is the Baltimore Orioles up against the Philadelphia Phillies. Thomas Eshelman taking on Jake Arrieta. Eshelman was acquired by the Orioles from the Phillies last June. Eshelman's going to make his first start against his former organization. He completed 4 innings of 2-run ball last time out as he holds on to John Means' place in the rotation. Jake Arrieta 1-1 with a 2.45 ERA. He pitched brilliantly on Saturday against the Braves, tossing 6 scoreless innings, striking out 6. He's healthy again, and I think that will lead to more good things this year. If you guys remember, it wasn't that long ago Jake Arrieta was the most dominant pitcher in baseball for half a year. And so far this season, especially to righties, a 1.79 xFIP and a 32% K rate, and that's something we definitely want to keep an eye on going forward. His numbers to lefties not quite as glorious, a 4.09 xFIP, which isn't the worst on a short sample size, but just a 7.7% K rate with a 2.79 a 2.7 home run per 9. So a couple of metrics here to make me a little bit interested in Jake Arrieta. A lot of the analysis to be done on this slate is coming with the idea that this is a really short slate. 5 games on DraftKings, 4 games on FanDuel, and heck, even yesterday, a much broader slate. Pitching is very uncomfortable lately, right? There's a couple days a week where we get the front-end aces, the Garrett Coles, the Max Scherzers, the Jacob deGrom, stuff like that. But it really feels like more often than not, we're getting a lot of openers, a lot of bullpen games, and a lot of really, really average at best pitching options. So when we're looking at a guy like Jake Arrieta, we're looking at 7.3K. We're looking at him as a potential home favorite, right? Right now, the Phillies are minus 182, home favorite. Phillies have a 5.6 implied run total. The Orioles 4.1. Orioles are one of those scrappy teams. They're never going to project well. The Phillies bullpen has been rough. The Phillies defense, the Phillies team has been rough. Although offensively, they've been fine. So they're kind of a mean team right now. But in the general scheme of things, I think at 7.3K, you'd have to at least consider Jake Arrieta as one of your options. In the last year, including this season, he's been throwing fastball, cutter, curveball, changeup, average fastball. Really not much to speak of elsewhere. Just kind of a veteran pitcher looking for those ground balls. This year's ground ball rate to righties is at 50%. It's usually over 54% the last couple seasons. So if this lineup comes out even with righties and even, maybe get a little bit shocked with a little bit more righties, Jake Arrieta is definitely somebody I'm looking at to eat some innings and maybe give me a shot at 14 to 18 DraftKings points as a, I wouldn't even say an SB1 or an SB2, just an SP today to eat up some points. I definitely don't mind looking at Arietta. Looking at Eshelman, there's really not a lot of redeeming qualities in his limited sample size to believe in. Just 7.1 innings of sample size this season, but a 5.14 Sierra, 4.89 xFIP, and a 6.4% swing and strike rate, which, believe it or not, is higher than Arietta's swing and strike rate. So, kind of funny that Arrieta is sustaining a 32% K rate thus far. A lot of regression coming for him in that regard. Hard to really get behind Eshelman with a high level of confidence, and he has really struggled against lefties in what sample size we do have. 36 innings last year, 7 innings this year, high average allowed and high home run per 9 allowed to both sides of the plate. Very low K stuff. So this is a big time spot for the Philadelphia Phillies. This is a huge spot for Bryce Harper. So far, Eshelman a 55.6% hard contact rate to lefties. Again, small sample size there, but could be a big time spot for Bryce Harper, who is just a good power hitter. So if we put that against Eshelman, I'm sure that's probably going to be high in the bomb detector. Let's pull up the hitter rating chart and let's look at the bomb detector ratings at the top. Bunch of Phillies: Hoskins, Realmuto, McCutchen. How far down? Oh, Harper's right there. Harper has a 3.9, so not far from the magic number 4. So Phillies definitely profiling as a savory stack. Watch the weather. I'm looking at a brief rain chance in that game. Because that's an early game, a 4 p.m. Eastern game, if they did have some rain, it would more than likely just delay a couple hours until they can finally get it in. The earlier the games are scheduled, the less I'm worried about rain outs, just because they have time, right? No Eshelman for me. Could you stack the Orioles? I think because of the ballpark, and because it's a short slate, and because the Orioles like to play spoiler, there's definitely some merit in some Orioles exposure. I probably don't full stack them on this slate. I probably just identify a couple one-offs, Santander, Renato Nunez, maybe guys like that. But you can definitely sign me up for a bunch of full Philly stacks, and hopefully they do what they did 2 games ago, where half the squad was teeing off. Let's move on to the next game. Red Sox hosting the Tampa Bay Rays. We've got Tyler Glasnow up against Kyle Hart. I don't know much about Kyle Hart, so I'm hoping to learn a little bit right now as we talk about him. Glasnow, we do know stuff about. He's got a 5.56 ERA. He's looking to bounce back following his shortest start of the season. He walked 3 and allowed 5 hits and 4 runs over 2 2/3 innings against the Yankees. Kyle Hart is a 27-year-old lefty, and he's a former 19th round draft pick. He's going to make his debut when he starts the finale of this 4-game series against the Rays. He notched a 3.52 ERA while splitting the 2019 season between AA Portland and AAA Pawtucket. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to pull up MLB.com. You know what I'm about to do. We're going to pull up his minor league numbers and see if we can't project his weaknesses or strengths as it pertains to the majors. But it looks like, he's a very low draft pick, and so far it's just been a minor league journeyman, 27 years old, kind of elder minor league age, right? So in the minors against lefties, 22 innings last year in AAA, gave up a 284 average, gave up 3 homers in 22 innings. That's a little high. 5 homers in 77 innings to righties. That's actually a little low. Usually 1 home run per 10 innings pitched is something that probably is right around average if I had to throw a vague number out there. 241 average to righties. So if I'm reading this, he's a lefty with reverse splits in the small sample size from last season. So let's see if we can't dip into AA and see if that was a trend down low as well. Yeah, higher average to lefties, lower average to righties. 38 Ks to righties in 34 innings in AA. And then in 77 innings against righties in AAA, 62 Ks. So that more higher K per innings pitched did not transfer. But an elevated whip to both sides of the plate, 1.5 whip to lefties, 1.2 to righties. So looks like he deals with a lot of traffic. He had 27 walks in 77 innings. Not a whole lot of encouragement here. Going against this Rays team that does strike out quite a bit, especially against lefties. In this projected lineup, Meadows, Lau, G-Man Choi, Willie Adames. I mean, this is all 25+% K rate. So there's a definite range of outcomes at 5,100 that a pitcher with any type of K stuff could go out there and fall into a good game at 5.1. Could I get 10 to 15 fantasy points as an SP2 there from Kyle Hart? I think it's possible. I would love to have a little bit more information about him. He has no innings pitched at all this year. I might have to do some digging off air just to kind of see if I can get like pitch types and velocities and stuff like that. Do we have a run total for 5.3 implied run total for the Rays, 4.3 for the Red Sox? So Tyler Glasnow is somebody that I certainly believe to bounce back. 9.1 K on a short slate. Give me some raw points at over 20 fantasy points. At Baltimore, bad game. At home against Atlanta, he went bananas, 9 strikeouts. The pitch count has not really gotten over 90 yet, but I think the Rays have the thought to get their starters stretched out. And I do think that, start number 4, Glasnow probably has, after the last couple games, probably thrown some pitches in the bullpen or what have you. Glasnow, somebody with a lot of strikeout potential. His SIERA and xFIP this year well below his ERA, so a lot of bad luck there. Almost a 14% swing and strike rate this year. Walk rate's up, whip is up, but that can be corrected. And if we look at his last couple of years, he did have a walk problem in the lefties in 2018, but kind of corrected it last year. Never really a deep sample size, just 60 innings last year as well. But I certainly feel like if we're chasing ceiling, Tyler Glasnow probably has one of the highest ceilings of the pitchers on this slate. I know Yu Darvish is going to fall into being probably the highest owned option. But 8-8 on FanDuel, 9-1 on DraftKings. If we can get a 7 to 10 strikeout game, which is very possible because of his stuff, then I'd probably take some chances here. The projected Red Sox lineup, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys with a 20% or greater strikeout rate, so 1 in 5 or worse, depending how you look at it. But Glasnow's just one of those pitchers. If he's on, he's elite. It has an insane curveball. And we look at that RunDFS.com MLB VIP spreadsheet. Go look at that curveball. Throws it 30% of the time. And only JD Martinez has a well above average grade on a linear scale against the curveball. So not a team that I'm overly concerned about against the curve. So give me some Glasnow for sure. Definitely will be signing up for that. Yo, what up, Hector, in the live chat? Yeah, I decided to live stream it just to get it over with. Shout out to the other YouTubers that make DFS content, that record and then edit and then re-upload. And that's a grind. I'd rather just hit live and start talking. So that's what I'm doing. Hopefully you can hear me fine, Hector. Let's move on to the next game here. Pirates at the Reds. It sure feels like the Reds never actually catch a main slate. And then every time they play in the middle of the day, it seems like they're going off. And then when they're on the main slate, I want to stack them against, I don't know, John Lester, and they don't get a hit. But today, Trevor Williams on the bump for the Pirates. He'll be taking on Anthony DeSclafani. Williams 0-3. With a 3.52 ERA. He's 8 days removed from one of his best starts of his career, executing his game plan almost perfectly. He gave up 1 run on 3 hits and a walk while striking out 5 over 7 innings on August 5th against the Minnesota Twins. DeSclafani, he went 6 smooth and scoreless innings in a 4-1 win at the Brewers on Saturday. He notched 8 ground ball outs, and his slider was effective in getting 4 of his 6 strikeouts. He's 1-0 with a 0.0 ERA. His Sierra and xFIP fine, 3.66 Sierra, 3.19 xFIP. Those are certainly numbers I look at when a pitcher has a 0 ERA. And his swing and strike rate's at 11.2%. So just 11 innings of sample size on him there. But he's going against a very power-suppressed Pirates lineup that doesn't put up a lot of runs, doesn't hit for a lot of power. So if DeSclafani can continue being an above-average ground ball pitcher, I would be interested in him. He's 8,200 on DraftKings, 7.1 on FanDuel. I think the caveat for me with DeSclafani is paying attention to his numbers against lefties. He has had a higher fly ball rate to lefties last year with a high hard contact rate. I mean, almost 45% hard contact rate last year to lefties with a near 50% fly ball rate. That's a recipe for disaster in Great American Ballpark. And the reason why that worries me is because this Pirates lineup is going to come out mostly lefty heavy or switch hitter heavy, with the platoon advantage going to the switchies lining up as lefties. So one thing I would be concerned or curious with is, as the day progresses, keeping my ear to the ground and just kind of monitoring what I think DeSclafani's ownership would be. The Pirates are one of those teams, they play in a pitcher-friendly park at home in PNC. You put them in a hitter-friendly park in the middle of the day, anything could happen. Looks like it could be 90 degrees out there. I think yesterday we saw a lot of ownership on Jordan Lyles, which made 0 sense to me because his underlying metrics just were a little rough. DeSclafani could be one of those unproven cases so far where he's still got some problems with lefties, I think. Just 11 innings of work this season is not enough for me to get too far away from what he's done last year. And even in those 11 innings to lefties this season, a 33.3% line drive rate and a 40% hard contact. That tells me the hard contact rate is still there to lefties. So very possible that, let's see, who did he even face in that last outing to... Was it the Brewers? Yeah, the Brewers. Oh, my God. The Brewers have been so rough. And then Detroit. I'm trying to think. Who would have the Brewers thrown out that game? What date was that? Because, I mean, they would have Yelich. That was on August 8th. All right, so we're gonna pull up that game. I'm just curious to see what the Brewers lineup was and how many lefties versus righties that they actually had. That was on August 8th. Yeah, it was August 8th. So we're gonna go Cincy and Milwaukee. We'll pull this up on the main screen here. Brewers lineup was Sogard lefty, Hero righty, Yelich lefty, Lomo, Avisail Garcia, Gamon. He actually had a lot of lefties in this lineup. Struck out Hero, struck out Lomo, strikes out there. Okay. At 8-2, we probably played Desclafani, hoping for 16 to 18 fantasy points. I feel like the price is not enough for me to split hairs on a short slate. I definitely want some. Trevor Williams, on the other hand, 5.8K. Here's another very curious case. A 4.94 xFIP this season, a 4.3 Sierra. So 4.3 Sierra on a fourth, fifth starter isn't the craziest, but he did have a 5.08 Sierra last season, and that's a much broader sample size than just the 15 innings we have this year. And you put that into a hitter's park, and you look at some of these underlying metrics, an elevated fly ball rate, 46% this season to righties, 43% this year to lefties, a high line drive rate coming into the season last year to lefties with a high average and a high home run per nine. Obviously, a 167 average allowed so far to lefties with a near 4.8 xFIP. That's probably telling me that his BABIP's a lot on the lucky side. So Trevor Williams, somebody I could see eat innings and just kind of troll the slate, but I think this Reds team is going to be a stack that I'm interested in. They have an implied run total of 5.3 right now. The Pirates just 3.9. Certainly give me Castellanos, Votto, Suarez, Winker, Van Meter, I think, homered last night. I mean, there's plenty of Reds fantasy sweethearts that I'll be rostering with the high level of interest. So I do like the Red stack. I'll probably begrudgingly have some Desclafani. I wouldn't be surprised if Williams' 8 innings to be a not the worst 5.8K play on DraftKings, 10 to 15 fantasy points. That swing and strike rate feels like it's a little high, 11.3%. That's probably a career high. Let's lower the sample. We broaden the sample size a little bit. I think we backed it up. So I'm not happy to play Desclafani, and if I do put him in a pool, it's probably gonna be a low share, right? Because at best he's in a hitter's park in 90-degree temperatures. But because of the shallow player pool and the shallow pitcher pool, he might make it as a fringe option. But I also think the Pirates make an incredible tournament stack, right? A bunch of low K rates here. This is one of those teams that in the last 2 years against righties hits for a really nice average, 280 plus, essentially for the top 5 projected hitters. Put them in a small ballpark here. I can see them nickel and dime and then maybe hit some power shots there. And that Reds bullpen, guys like Lorenzen, Raisel Iglesias, like they haven't been the shutdown guys that they have been in the past or that the Reds need them to be. So I think the Pirates make a fun tournament stack. And their prices, for the most part, other than Josh Bell, are going to be really easy to attain on both sites. Even Josh Bell, look at this discrepancy in his FanDuel price to his DraftKings price. $2,800 on FanDuel, $5K on DraftKings. So if you prefer the DraftKings algorithm, it's pretty much saying to take a shot on Josh Bell. This algorithm also might have been dressed up to face Trevor Bauer, because I did see some sites list Trevor Bauer as the starter tomorrow. So maybe that happened. I don't know for sure, but maybe that happened and we got some better Pirates prices anyway. So I do kind of like the Pirates as a tournament stack. It makes a lot of sense in a hitter's park in the hot day time of midweek game. Brewers at the Cubs. Next game on the docket. Brett Anderson scheduled to take the bump against Yu Darvish. Brett Anderson was originally scheduled to face the Cubs at Wrigley Field in the second game of the season, but he wound up on the IL because of a blister, and nearly 3 weeks later, he gets his shot. Yu Darvish 2-1 with a 2.12 ERA. He picked up a win on August 5th when he struck out 4 and held the Royals to 1 run over 7 innings. On July 25th, he lost to the Brewers after giving up 3 runs in 4 innings. 10.4K on DraftKings, 9.6K on FanDuel. Darvish, I love it. I love it. I mean, he's the clear-cut pitcher of the day, pre-flop, not being results-orientated, right? Best Sierra, best xFIP on the slate. And that's not just this season, but likely if we look at last year's Sierra, Glasnow's above him, but much smaller sample size. 3.5 Sierra on Darvish last season, a 3.39 xFIP, swinging strike rate over 13%. He just feels like, unlike Glasnow, he is stretched out enough. He will be. I think he will be a benefactor of wind blowing in. As of right now, I'm showing wind blowing in. And he threw 93 pitches in his last start. So we've seen that kind of grow start by start, almost 10 pitches a start on average. So could we have a 100-pitch, no leash, Darvish? I think it's possible. So Darvish seems like he's going to be your chalk cash pitcher. I can't really get too creative and go against that. And even in tournaments, I probably anchor a lot around him because it's not like this is a Coors Field slate where we got a lot of 5-6K bats. It's going to be easy to get Darvish. Just like last night, it was easy to get Greinke. And who else did I play last night? Oh, and Kenta Maeda. And I just took whatever they gave me, didn't be results oriented, and I was fine with the outcome, right? No Brett Anderson for me. Anderson is a very low strikeout guy, daring you to make contact and hit the ball. Does have an elevated ground ball rate, but the hard contact rate is nuts. This would be a get-right spot for a sluggish Cubs offense. Again, 80 degrees wind right now, looking like it's blowing into dead center for this game. But guys like Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, even Wilson Contreras would be righties that I'm interested in. And Rizzo's not somebody, that I run from against any side of the plate. But Javi Baez and Chris Bryant are both slugging 600 or better against lefties over the last 2 years. So clearly a spot where up against a lefty that's going to dare you to make contact, I'm interested. A 280 average allowed, a 1.2 home run per nine. Yeah, give me some Cubs bats here. I will have no Anderson in the mix. Even that Brewers bullpen got smacked around last night. I would probably be anticipating the Brewers making some some assignment designations after last night and try to call people up from the alternate site. Cubs implied run total is not out yet. Neither are the Brewers. And that is your final game on the FanDuel slate. So FanDuel's going to be 4-game slate. And like I said, they're listing Bauer as the pitcher, so that would explain why Josh Bell is so cheap. But it looks like it's Desclafani. If for some reason it is Bauer, let me click his card just in case there's like a blurb. Next start Saturday against the Pirates, and that's from the 9th. So it's not going to be. Yeah, it says he was supposed to pitch on Wednesday or Thursday, but it's not going to be till Saturday. So no Bauer. So I think the YouTube or the FanDuel algorithm might have been lined up to face Bauer, which is why the Pirates are even cheaper than they should have been. So Darvish is just a clear-cut option at the top of the slate, and then there's Glasnow. They have FanDuel's pitching is not. Yeah, I don't know about that one, Chief. So Darvish at the top. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because it's one less game than the DraftKings slate. So if you're researching both sites, don't forget to keep in mind what the Dodgers and Padres are throwing out there for DraftKings, but also just know that when you're making your exposures for FanDuel, you could probably or should probably be a little bit more bullish, right? I would find it hard to believe that Darvish is much less than 50% owned in all formats tomorrow. Probably in single entry and cash on FanDuel, single pitcher site, he probably pushes 70+%. So I don't think I get too creative and go against that because it doesn't cost much to get a stack that I want. And it usually never is that hard to make FanDuel lineups anyway. Before we talk about this last game, take a pause for the cause. Remind you guys that you guys can get daily access to this spreadsheet and the NBA spreadsheet and the NFL spreadsheet and the 24/7 Discord with a subscription at rundfs.com. Go to rundfs.com, make yourself an account, click VIP passes, find a pass that's right for you. If you've never tried it before, just $25 for a week pass. It's less than $5 a day. Get in there, make acquaintances with some of the lifers, man. There are guys that have been subscribed to the premium side of things for a long time, and having those guys be consistent winners and then, you consistently subscribing and resubscribing to the premium content is a good feeling. That's my benchmark of line of demarcation when it comes to are we doing things the right way. Let's jump back into the spreadsheet here. Padres and the Dodgers going at it. Chris Paddock up against Julio Urias. So these are two playable pitchers on a normal slate against normal teams. And I think because of how short the slate is and because of these pitchers' inherent and isolated talent, I think that would be in my DraftKings pool, in my DraftKings pool in multi-entry. Chris Paddock is 2-1 with a 3.18 ERA. He owns some of the best fastball command in baseball, so he was particularly upset with himself after throwing just 56 of his 95 pitches for strikes against the Diamondbacks. He beat the Dodgers with 6 quality innings last week. Julio Urias 1-0 with a 2.4 ERA. The Dodgers are still waiting for Urias to show the consistency needed from a starter. After pitching well to beat Arizona with ample run support, he lasted only 4 innings against the Giants in his previous start. Originally slated to start Wednesday against the Padres, he was bumped to the series finale so he can get an extra day of rest. So an extra day of rest for this game. In this house, we stack Padres against lefties. I do respect Urias. I think he's a good pitcher. But man, Tatis, Machado, Pham on this slate where this game is hours. We honestly, at 9:40 p.m. Eastern for first pitch, where the first game is at 4:05, that's a 5.5 hour gap. I think there's a great chance the Padres lineup isn't out, which makes their ownership much lower because it's not like an elite matchup anyway. So I'm going to have a lot of Padres exposure in tournament, and I guess you could even spin that for the Dodgers. Paddock has been really good this season, though. A 1.8 home run per 9, which matches his road home run per 9 last year as well. Hard contact rate is elevated, so whenever you have a high hard contact rate, there's always that stick of dynamite chance of explosion. But for the most part, man, he's one of the best pitchers I think in the league at 8.5K. If you thought 16 to 25 was a window, and then 16 to 20 was maybe a more median range of outcomes, I think he's in play. Dodgers aren't a team that you line up to face, but we've seen them kind of not be that powerhouse team in some of these spots. They have an implied run total of just 4.6, so that is one of the lower, like sub 5 run totals on the slate. So I certainly could see Paddock limping his way into a strong game. A 30% carry rate to righties to both sides of the plate. This is probably going to be a split down the middle Dodgers lineup. So if he can limp through with a couple strikeouts here and there, maybe a strikeout per inning, 3 runs or less allowed on a short slate, yeah, give me some Paddock. Urias is almost is 1,100 more on DraftKings. I don't like playing lefties against the Padres, but I will concede that the Padres are pretty top-heavy. Tatis, Machado, Pham, usually the first 3 I'll go out there and get. Jake Cronenworth has been a surprising guy for them. Even Trent Grisham has been off to a really fire start. Will Myers here and there. So I don't know. This is a team that I do like stacking against lefties. But yesterday, Tony Gonsolin was cruising it for a long time. So it's not like I'm saying go out there and bet the house on the Padres tomorrow night. But just every time they line up against a lefty, I'm going to be a buyer. And they've made me some money against Madison Bumgarner twice this season. But at 9.6K, do you think Urias could be a guy that outscores Glasnow or Yu Darvish? He pretty much has to, right? He's in that sandwich. I probably don't, right? If I got to pick 2 out of those 3, I'm going Darvish and Glasnow, especially considering I'll have some Padres exposure. Anyway, that is our look at this slate. If we take a peek at the bomb detector, guys at the top: Rhys Hoskins, JT Realmuto, Will Smith, Andrew McCutcheon. A lot of Phillies up there, and some Dodgers are up here too, based on that hard contact. So, if I have to make a pitching pool for DraftKings right now, it's going to be Darvish, Glasnow, a little dab of Desclafani, maybe a little dab of Arrieta. Just eat me some innings, maybe get me 5Ks and a dub. And that's it. Corbin Burns projects to be the long reliever for the Brewers. We can take an extra peek at him behind Brett Anderson if we're looking to get behind a Cubs stack. So for the heck of it, I'll type in Corbin Burns. So he's He's got a 4.78 xFIP this year to righties, but last year was much, much better, and his strikeout rate is extremely high. What is he, 6.2? If you wanted to take advantage of wind blowing in Wrigley and be really, really sneaky in tournaments, and you trusted Corbin Burns to be the long man, maybe you thought 4 or 5 Ks coming his way, maybe he scooped up a win. I don't think it's a crazy shot in the dirt, but hard to get behind it. Otherwise, it's just like a really kind of yucky mid slate, middle of the week slate. Like I said, this is one of those slates where I would make my pool based on the information I have, and I just wouldn't be too results orientated. This is certainly one of those nights, like a lot lately, where I'll just be more focused on one pitcher sites like FanDuel, and just run my stacks around that, and just probably hang my night on Darvish and maybe a little bit of Glass now. But we'll see if things change between now and then. A lot of air and opportunity between now and then. Hey, I'm on Twitter, twitter.com/GundackerSports. If you guys got any questions, comments, concerns for me, my DMs are open. We also got NBA tomorrow. NBA is getting really wonky, but less than 5 days between now and the playoffs. The playoffs will really tighten up, solidify minute projections, and be a lot more fun. A lot of prize pools to go out there and grind against. So, not that I'm saying I'm not playing NBA, but it's so hard to make NBA content the night before, knowing that we just really don't know much until the news comes out and we get people either rested or out, and then people that are in, we can't even guarantee deep minutes for them other than running a couple laps up and down the court. So right now baseball is a lot stronger in terms of predictive value. But hey, if you're new to the channel, you like what you heard, maybe hit that subscribe button. Before you guys get out of here, hit that thumbs up. I love each and every one of you, and I hope you crush it. Good luck.